People have said to me, did you ever imagine that Daredevil would last for 40 years? In all honesty, I never thought about it with any of our characters because it's hard to describe, but in the days that we were doing all these superheroes, when we started them, all that we were concerned about was that the books would sell. So we were so involved and occupied with making every issue as good or better than the last that the thought of what will these be like in 40 years, it never occurred to me, and I doubt that any of the guys was thinking of it at that time.
I think it's fair to say that Daredevil has had one of the best and craziest comic runs over the years. From when Stan Lee first created him in 1964, to when Frank Miller wrote him in the 80s, to Kevin Smith's controversial Guardian Devil arc right before Michael Brian Bendis did his epic 5-year-long take on the character. Then there's Mark Waid's run, and closing out with Chip Zdarsky's 3-part run of Daredevil, marking his spot in the legacy of great Daredevil runs. Now, Zdarsky had an idea he wanted to bring to Marvel and pitched the whole thing to them and how it would end. It was laid out, planned out, and then executed. Now, how he chose to end his run was too perfect. It was so perfect, in fact, that I think it ended the character's arc to the point where his story should not continue forward. Sure, if you want to tell a story that takes place before any of this, go right ahead. But damn it, man, I think where they left off Matt in this run should be the definitive ending for the character. So for all those who don't know, I'm gonna do the quickest 30-second speedrun explanation I can. The last big run is broken up into 3 parts. There was the first 36-issue run where Daredevil accidentally kills a robber during a fight and is now being questioned by the public and other heroes if he should be operating. And Matt has to deal with those same questions eternally too. As Matt is dealing with the emotional ramifications of the accidental killing, a new NYPD detective, Cole North, is tasked at taking Daredevil down. Some things end up happening and Matt ends up turning himself in out of guilt. He goes to prison and Elektra ends up taking the mantle of Daredevil with a cool new suit and begins to be a better person, even vowing not to kill criminals. Now the second part is the Devil's Reign story arc where Fisk is mayor of New York and is up for re-election. He creates another superhero resignation act upon New York City and the heroes aren't having it. Then some stuff happens, they all fight it out, Fisk loses and the act goes away, and so does Fisk, sailing off into the ocean. The third and final part is an epilogue of sorts with the King Daredevil arc where Matt and Elektra get married and then they break a bunch of criminals out of jail to train them to become better people. The rest of Marvel's heroes don't like that and try to stop them. The heroes win and lock everyone up, but a bunch of Matt's friends die, like Foggy and Stick. So Matt decides to kill himself and travels to hell to save them and fight this big demon, but then he wins but is trapped in hell. Everyone mourns the loss, and at the last moments of the comic, Elektra sees a man that looks like Matt and follows him to a church where she discovers it is Matt and he's a priest. For some reason, God or somebody gave him a second chance at life and Matt doesn't remember anything, but he's at peace. Elektra knows that and decides to let him be and give him that life of peace he deserves, even though it's going to hurt her to do so. So Matt is happy, and him becoming a priest is a full circle arc that makes sense, but at the last 2 pages of the issue, a bunch of people are robbing someone, and Matt goes to save them as himself, not Daredevil, and fights them off, proving that no matter what, Matt will always help someone in need. And damn it, that should have been it for the character, but nope. 1 month later, they released a new Daredevil series and was actively printing another one while Zdarsky's run was still happening, called Daredevil and Echo, which was a painfully obvious cash grab for the Echo show that was already supposed to be out by now. So it would have been out with the release of the show. Now, with regard to the new current Daredevil run, the first issue is all that's out right now at the time of this recording, and I have read it. I have to admit, I did like it a lot, but still couldn't help but feel like this shouldn't exist, or at the very least it was too soon, and Marvel should have given the character a break for a few years before starting up another story. And in comic fashion, they are already undoing what Zdarsky wrapped up and have Elektra seeping back into his life, and he's already fighting in his Daredevil costume in the first issue. And the Daredevil and Echo comic, I read that too, and it was so bad. Like I said, it was an obvious cash grab for new readers to pick up, with the most convoluted and nonsensical plot ever. And on top of that, it takes place between Zdarsky's Devil's Reign and King Daredevil arcs. not making that totally confusing at all. All this reminds me of how Marvel Comics has treated Spider-Man, and how most people have not liked a Spider-Man run in like over 10 years, and how Marvel keeps doubling down on how much shit they put Peter Parker through, to the point where it's just gross and not entertaining. Taking away Mary Jane and having her be with some other guy after her and Peter had a kid together is one example of many unnecessary cruel things they have done to the character, and how they don't want Peter to grow as a person. And in all honesty, they should have found a way to close off Peter's story and give him a happy ending he deserves. Because that's the point of the character. No matter how many horrible things happen in life, there can always be a greater purpose if you keep fighting for one. So let him have an ending already. Same thing with Matt. These two characters are the punching bags of the Marvel Universe and deserve more than any other characters to have a happy ending, even if some sadness is involved. Marvel doesn't let characters die, which I know, comic book characters not staying dead, shocker, but still, it's absurd that they do a whole series called The Death of Doctor Strange, and then a year later, bring him back to life for his new run. In fact, in the end of Zdarsky's run, Foggy Nelson and Reed Richards are having a talk, and Foggy brings up this reoccurring issue. Not as a joke, but as a genuine question. And he asks why Matt can't come back. And Reed says, "I often try to reason it out, why my kind seem to evade death even after the fact. It feels like sometimes it's almost proof of a higher power, of someone who needs us to live, to stop what's coming, to fight the good fight. If ever there was a candidate to come back to fight the good fight, it's Matt Murdock." I think that summarizes what the story is saying. If he were to come back, however he is given to fight the good fight, it's God's gift to him. And by the end, he is a priest who is there to help orphans and console people with wisdom and kindness. That was his reward. So dear Marvel, let my boy rest. Or, keep milking him for money. I can't stop you.
What I always tried to do with Marvel was make it seem like a club, like an inner group that we knew about and the outside world wasn't even aware of. If you read Marvel, you were on the inside, you were hip. And it was sort of an exclusive thing, limited just to Marvel readers. And I tried to talk to the readers as if they were friends, not readers, so that not only, hopefully, did they enjoy the stories, but they enjoyed being part of the Marvel mystique, you might say. And I'm probably making it sound much more profound than it really was, but that's the way I looked at it.